Toy Story 4 is the latest entry of the Toy Story franchise, this time directed by Josh Cooley, who's probably best known for his work on Inside Out. I was like a lot of people when this movie was announced. Why is this fourth movie being made? Toy Story 3 had such a pitch perfect and emotional ending. Why risk tainting that legacy? But then once the trailer started coming out and hearing Tom Hanks and Tim Allen talking about how emotional it was to work on Toy Story 4, I went, you know what, I'll give this a shot. The trailers never really wowed me, but it's Toy Story. I've loved watching these characters over the years, and now it feels like enough time has passed for another adventure, especially with the franchise recently being represented in Kingdom Hearts 3. Well, for me, Toy Story 4 doesn't quite top Toy Story 3 in terms of emotional impact. Toy Story 4 is definitely a solid send-off for fans who have been invested in these characters for all these years, especially as this feels like Pixar might be finally saying goodbye to these characters and their flagship franchise. But at the same time, Pixar doesn't choose to go for a big dramatic finale, so in ways, Toy Story 4 almost feels like the epilogue to the series. The scales are considerably reduced, and this winds up choosing to focus more so on Woody's journey, similar to Toy Story 2. I know a few fans were worried that Pixar were retreading grounds with Woody's character arc in this film. I'd say while Toy Story 2 dealt with Woody's purpose to Andy as he watches Andy grow up, and what would happen when Andy moved on, well now, with Toy Story 4, we're at the point where Andy has grown up and moved on from his toys. So Woody in this movie is trying to find his purpose with Bonnie, the little girl that the toys get donated to at the end of Toy Story 3. Bonnie winds up creating a new toy at her school called Forky, a literal spork with googly eyes. And Forky, who is a wonderful character in the film and absolutely got a lot of the big laughs at my screening, ends up going through an existential crisis. And so Woody takes it upon himself to make sure nothing happens to Forky because he knows this spork is very important to Bonnie. Matters are further complicated when Bonnie's family goes on a road trip and Forky escapes near a small town where the family is stopping over. And so it's up to Woody and the gang to find Forky and keep him safe. The movie is almost entirely based in the carnival town that you've seen in the trailers, which does help keep the movie focused. As I mentioned earlier, the movie spends a lot of time on Woody figuring out his purpose after Andy, and his time away from the gang is spent pondering this notion. Throughout the movie, Woody gets reacquainted with Bo Peep, who is missing from the last film, and Bo Peep helps Woody rediscover himself while assisting in finding Forky. Keegan-Michael and Jordan Peele play a couple of carnival soft toys, and boy did they get some really big laughs. They have a few different fantasies in the film, and each one just kept getting funnier. Of course, Keanu Reeves is in the film as well, playing Duke Caboom, this great Canadian daredevil toy. And just between this, John Wick 3, Always Be My Maybe, and Cyberpunk 2077, this really is a great time for Keanu Reeves fans of all ages and demographics. Pixar don't go crazy with any big Keanu references, but there's a lot of love with his character, especially in his many Canadian puns. But my favourite Pixar characters are often ones that might have a few seconds of screen time, often used for a quick gag. And Toy Story 4 has many of those types of characters. The ones that stood out to me were three soldiers who gave out high fives, and that's all I'll say. There's a few moments with them that had me laughing my head off. Toy Story 4 does have an antagonist, and while they're no Sid or Stinky Pete, I did appreciate the approach taken to make them more sympathetic and three-dimensional. Pixar really take the time to flesh out the villain's motivations, so that by the end of the film, both the antagonist and Woody both feel like they have completed arcs. You completely understand where the antagonist is coming from, and the choices made between Woody and that antagonist completely benefited each character. It was wonderful to see. While the less complicated direction of Toy Story 4 may frustrate some people, I think after Toy Story 3, you needed to scale back a bit and make a more personal story so that we could be ready to potentially say goodbye to these characters. Pixar again do a phenomenal job at stepping up their game in the animation department. These characters have never looked better, where you almost feel like you could reach out and touch the plastic mold of a toy's face. All the little details, from stitching on a character to sand and especially hair. So much attention has been put into creating realistic hair, it's insane. And of course, Randy Newman returns to do the music once again, which still maintains the warm spirit of the other Toy Story films that just makes you want to keep spending time with these characters. You've Got a Friend in Me isn't used nearly as much as I was expecting though, which had me surprised. And fret not, fellow Stanley Kubrick fans, Pixar have outdone themselves again to sneak in another homage to The Shining that I think you're going to really appreciate. So definitely keep an ear out for it. If this is it for Toy Story, then I am happy with where the series is, even if Toy Story 4 doesn't quite hit the emotional highs of Toy Story 3. Toy Story 4 rewards you for being invested all these years, and it made me want to run and hug my childhood toy. There's plenty of the Pixar love, humor and care to keep everyone entertained, even if it feels more like an epilogue to the series. You're probably going to see it anyway, but know that Toy Story 4 is delivered with a lot of fondness for these characters, and it is not the cash grab that a lot of people were fearing it would be. Toy Story 4 gets an 8.5 out of 10 from me. Guys, I hope you like this review. If you want to see more more reviews just like this one, stay right here for your Mono Fix. Bye guys.